Alright students, today we are going to add and subtract polynomials. What is a polynomial? Well, a polynomial is the sum of terms with different powers to the same variable. That is, in essence, the definition of a polynomial. Now, there are different types of polynomials. For example, if I consider a polynomial with one term, with only one term, this is called a monomial. Example would be something like this: 5x, one term. If I have two terms, such as 5x plus 3, then this is called a binomial. If I have three terms, such as 5x squared plus 3x plus 2, then this is called a trinomial. If I have four terms, then we say it's a polynomial with four terms. If I have five terms, then we say it's a polynomial with five terms, and so on. Now, when I consider the actual degree, such as x to the first, well, I know this is a monomial, but looking at the actual degree, this is a linear monomial. If I have x to the second, the actual degree, this is called a quadratic. If I have x to the third, this is called a cubic. X to the fourth, a quartic. X to the fifth, it's called a quintic. So in terms of degrees, we have linear, quadratic, cubic, quartic, and quintic. Now let's say that I wanted to add polynomials such as 2x to the third plus 4x squared plus 1 and 4x to the third plus 2x squared minus 4. To add polynomials, we have to find like terms. Now, like terms are terms that have the same variable and also the same degree or the same exponent. So these two are considered to be like terms, 2x cubed and 4x cubed. When I add these two, 2x plus 4x to the third, I get 6x to the third. If I consider 4x squared and 2x squared, I will get 6x squared. And then if I look at my constants, I have 1 plus -4, and that becomes -3. This is my answer. If you notice carefully, my degrees descend from greatest to smallest. This is called standard form. That number here and this number here are called the coefficients. And the number by itself here, this -3, we call this a constant. If the question asks for the degree of this polynomial, the actual degree will be 3 because that's the biggest degree. So degree of this expression will be 3, or you can say it's a cubic. And if the problem asks for the leading coefficient, that's the coefficient next to the biggest degree, which is 6. So that's adding polynomials. Now let's add something more complex, such as, let's do 5x to the third minus 2x squared plus 6, and 2x to the third plus x minus 7. Okay, so let's look for the like terms. In this case, I know that these two are like terms. If I add those two, I get 7x to the third. That's gone. And then if I look for another term with x to the second, notice you will not find it over here, which means that this will have to be left as is, and so is this, because there are no other like terms. Now I still have the constants, 6 plus -7, that becomes -1. And as I mentioned, notice my degrees 3, 2, 1, 0. This is called standard form. And my leading coefficient is 7. The degree of this polynomial is 3, cubic. That's the biggest degree. So now let's subtract polynomials. 2x to the third plus 4x squared plus 1 minus 4x to the third minus 4x squared plus 6. So we have to, just like adding polynomials, we have to find the like terms. 2 minus 4 is -2x to the third. 4 minus -4. 4 minus -4, that becomes +8x to the second. And then we have 1 minus -6. 1 minus -6, that becomes 7. And this is my final answer. Notice it's written in standard form, 3, 2, and so on. By the way, if you don't see a variable next to the constant, it's because it's a 0, and anything to the 0 power is 1 times 7 is still 7. Nothing has changed here. So this is subtracting polynomials. Just keep in mind that when you subtract, keep in mind that you have to consider that symbol here. It's, for example, 1 minus -6. Many students make that mistake of just writing 1 minus 6 and then write -5 when they actually forget to write the other negative, and that makes this a positive which means you have 7. Alright, if you have any questions, please let me know. This has been the Math Doctor.